it turned out I preferred rain to snow, so I stayed in the UK rather than Canada.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it's funny. I met Ammon online. To my knowledge, at least, I met Ammon Johns online back when I was publishing. Shortly after, in fact, I published Critical Thinking. When I was starting to work on the second book, that's when we made contact. And I just found out here, and that's been 2 years ago. I just found out here, what, Ammon, about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that BlackKnight and Ammon Johns are one and the same. Well, I actually had a little bit of interface on a forum here and there with BlackKnight. He'd answered a question, or I was reading his response to somebody else's question, probably 7 or 8 years ago. I had no idea it was the same person, and I had no idea that BlackKnight was in the UK.
No, a lot of people didn't realise.
So like you say, the internet
the idea with the
somewhat...
forum name, of course, with BlackKnight was when we first started. People like AltaVista had a very adversarial approach to SEOs. And if you used your real name and they could trace that back to domain registrations, you could be in trouble. So we all use pseudonyms.
Absolutely, absolutely. I still use mine because it's attached to a lot of things that I just don't want to update. But yeah, absolutely, interesting.
I still sometimes get posts through to the BlackKnight. Through the snail mail. And
right.
Funny enough, the postman here has never looked twice at me as he delivers it. But yeah, we were saying John Kleinberg is one of those things. I'll give people two other little nuggets here of homework. First, I know I've mentioned to Doc in the past and elsewhere, but the Clue Train Manifesto. Absolutely fundamental. If anyone is involved in any sort of online marketing, you must read the Clue Train Manifesto. It predates everything that we now call social media, but it's absolutely rules for how to use social media today. Absolutely vital. Find it. It's online for free, or you can get a copy from Amazon. And absolutely read it. It's worth knowing. And the other one is Purple Cow.
Oh yeah.
It's again about how to give yourself a marketing advantage even before you touch a line of code. I'd say that those two things are tied up to good SEO so completely. The rest is just technical. Maybe I'd add to that the tipping point. Have you read that one?
No, I haven't.
No, nor have I. No.
Oh,
I've heard of the manifesto, but I've heard of Purple Cow, but I haven't read either of them. However, I may remedy that.
Yeah, you will never regret it. I wouldn't say that the Clue Train Manifesto is a Bible. You can't say everything it says. There's a certain amount of rhetoric. There's a certain anarchy. There is a point to every single line of it. The central part of the book is 95 theses, and it's all about communication online and the fact that we're fed up of companies talking at us instead of to us or with us. Do you know the biggest success online? Pop-up blockers and anti-spam. And if you think about this, the most critical pieces of software are pop-up blockers and anti-spam measures generally. It tells you how many companies are doing it terribly wrongly. Everyone has to worry about spam. Everyone has to worry about getting past spam filters these days. And it shows you how much people care about people getting the marketing message wrong. And there's a lot of SEOs out there who, because they're not getting feedback, because they're not seeing what's being blocked, think they're doing great. Not. Filters and pop-up blockers are out there. Think about what you're doing in context of people who install those, people who develop those.
Well, that brings up an interesting thought too. Basically, the theme of this entire show today is commercialization of the internet, and really, isn't that the root cause for spam? Okay. I mean,
Of course.
if we weren't trying to commercialize in some aspect or another, there'd be no spam, which is
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
unfortunate
The
advent.
problem is that a lot of people see the internet as a way to make easy money. Easy money is like a free lunch. There's no such thing. Sooner or later, you're paying for that free lunch.
Yep.
Easy money doesn't exist because for that easy money to come into your pocket, it's got to come out of somebody else's.
Yep.
Sucker born every minute. You also got a lot of angry suckers who go around telling other suckers before they get caught. So you can't rely on that as a methodology either.
Yeah, it's very much like a pyramid scheme. You know, the early
Absolutely.
hitters will make theirs, and they'll make it at the expense of the others.
Yes. And every single time you see one of these ebooks being sold as, you know, miracle new SEO tool, something like that, it's absolutely a pyramid scheme. And a lot of the SEO tricks, yeah, they'll work today. And while you're all linking to the guy who mentioned it, he's getting genuine links that'll last. But that technique he published, well, Google's people are reading it right now and working out the counter for it. The more any trick or technique is discussed, the sooner Google block it, and it won't do a damn thing. It's that simple.
Well, that's why so many SEOs, I think, you know, if they do find a new technique, you know, new that is working, if they're smart, they keep their mouth shut. They ride that horse. Don't blog about it. Don't share it, because then it'll get abused and it'll get turned off.
Yeah. There's levels to that. Sometimes people do discuss them because it's fundamentally broken. It's not in the user's long-term interest. It's why I'm against a lot of spam. I saw search engines killed by spam. Alta Vista being a prime example. I'm sure Gabriella remembers this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Alta Vista became useless because it had so much spam in it. Everyone started turning to alternatives. And, oh, look, there was this shiny little thing called Google.
No, I jumped to web crawler.
Well, yeah, everyone
I jumped to web crawler because I thought it was so clean, it was so neat, and it was just a spider, and it was Google. I mean, from there I jumped to Google because it was even cleaner. So yeah, those. But you're right, Alta Vista did take a hit, and I thought they were doing a good job, or at least, I mean, we used them. So.
I used Alta Vista, and I liked InfoSeek as well.
Oh yeah.
InfoSeek had one feature.
Yeah.
InfoSeek had one feature that nobody else has yet, without getting deep into operators, that I really miss, and that was at the bottom of the SERPs. You know, you could pull up a search for a given topic, and down at the bottom of the search, it gave you another secondary search box, search within results.
Yeah.
And for drilling down, that was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And nobody has done it. I don't, you know, why on earth cannot, you know, why can't somebody come up with that? That, you know, from our standpoint, from a marketer standpoint or an SEO standpoint, drilling down was made just quick and easy for that.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you know, to an extent, search refinement is meant to go the same way.
Well, yeah, if you're getting into operators,
this is, of course, the suggestion box, because as you start typing, it's suggesting searches and maybe adding a couple of keywords to that you wouldn't necessarily immediately, but you think, oh yeah, that'll get me more specific results. You know, I think that's helpful. Ask did it better because you searched for your results and then it had the deeper queries to the side, but you know, Ask did quite a few things differently to Google and better. The only problem was the people behind it made some very, very bad commercial decisions. For a while, Tioma really had the ability to beat Google. The technology of it was closer to that hubs and authorities thing that I was talking about. Google had PageRank, but it was topic insensitive. It meant that PageRank just that PageRank between Einstein linking to you as a great scientist and Marilyn Monroe linking to you as a great scientist. It couldn't tell the difference. Tioma could. Tioma was much more tied to that hubs and authorities. It knew what somebody was a hub on, what somebody was an authority on, topically, and counted those links within the topic. great piece of technology, but you know, it was really hampered by the owners.
Yeah.
Ask were always trying to monetize too soon. I think Google were very, very smart that way. They didn't monetize too soon. They were one of the last to take pay-per-click on. Most other companies have signed up with the early providers, particularly Overture. Even in Europe, we had eSpotting. eSpotting were always in a bit of trouble because they were just copying Overture. Because once they've signed a deal, that deal isn't there for you to come along second and sign as well. You can't follow. You know, you're either first or you're the first loser. But what Google added to pay-per-click was one simple little thing that was absolute genius. That the amount of click-through an ad got helped it rank higher. So you could pay less to rank higher than your competition if you got more click-throughs. Or if you were running an ad that was unpopular and wasn't getting many click-throughs, it would cost you more to rank in the same position. You had to make up the difference for cash.
Right.
And that helped charities and so on get good results for very small amounts, and made companies that were selling, I don't know, Hitler cigarettes with naked ladies on the cover pay more. So actually, they probably got plenty. The internet's a strange place.
No, I think Google, you know, their efforts at monetizing have been fantastic. You know, they really have set the bar high on how to handle paid ads. And the model that they've established, I think, works very well. You know, it drives me nuts when I see so many people complain, well, you know, this guy's outranking me because he has a larger ad spend than I do. And, you know, I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. And that's just Google hating, okay?
Yeah. You know, ad spend is one part of the pay-per-click business, but there's a heck of a lot more to it.
Oh, yeah.
And, usually, the job of a pay-per-click expert isn't to get the most clicks, it's to get the cheapest clicks.
There you go.
If you hire a pay-per-click expert and your spend goes up, there may be something wrong there. You should be getting much more results for less. In 2000, when I went in there and had a look at the pay-per-click, was cut the budget to a third. But they got 5 times the results in actual terms of sign-ups and click-throughs.
So you were data mining even back then?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
SEOs are data miners. The SEO has a particular mindset. When I walk to work, I've already calculated the exact spot to cross the road where it's going to be one step less to get to work. I just can't help it. That's the way my mind works. I optimize everything from the order of picking up jars to make a cup of coffee to walking to work to anything like that. My mind just does that kind of thing.
So we all need to think like jaywalkers then.
I think all successful a tiny bit of OCD.
That I'll agree.
We are
OCD.
compulsive about detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Sheldon,
agree.
you got something along those lines?
Yeah, I know. I buy into that. I think
Engineering mind?
exactly. You know, you're always looking for the a little bit. Just you're not going to find 30% more efficiency, but once in a lifetime. But if you can find a lot of 0.5% increases, that's where the gold is.
Trim the fat. Trim the fat.
Yep.
So speaking of trim the fat, so at least as bloggers, Doc and I both write. I don't know how active you are in keeping up with the writing sphere and article marketing and so on and so forth. But how do you feel about the new information out there in regards to guest blogging? Don't guest blog, do guest blog, because I know a lot of our readers do that. Whose phone is that? Is that you, Doc? Shame on you. But what's your take on that?
Google are against link building. We know that they're against link building.
But what about article marketing?
Well, I'm getting to it. Trust me.
Okay.
Guest blog is usually a way that somebody buys a link. Oh, buy your link with this content. Right? That's paid links. Of course, Google don't like it very much. And if they spot that you're doing a lot of it, you're going to be in trouble. Likewise, if most of your content is coming from guest blogging, you're not actually providing very much except a platform. And, you know, that could make you a little bit of a rival to some of the major platforms, such as Google with Blogger, and Facebook, and another, you know, thousand of places that want content. If all you're doing is providing a venue for content, that's not going to help you that much. So you're always looking to be authoritative